Hello and welcome to Game Soup with Chloe and Kayla. This is a game design podcast where we throw ideas in a pot and see what's cooking. Where are you in the world right now, Chloe?
As you listen to this, I am at Harrogate Convention Centre, sitting at table, I want to say K21, selling lots of wonderful games. Come on down, unless you're listening to this after the weekend it first came out, and in that case, you missed it.
Better luck next time, kid. But that's exciting. You've never done aircon before.
No, it's a bit of an experiment. I keep seeing things for it around, and it's like not too far away from us. So I know I'd like to engage with more northern conventions. Being a northern girly, but yeah, I hope it's good. And then if it is, we can put it in a proper rotation because we've taken Scotland out, so we're looking for holes to fill. You know what I mean?
I get what you mean. What is in your mind? What is your max amount of cons you'd be able to do or willing to do?
If we had the money for it, I'd be happy to do one every month. But as it stands, we can afford UKG and one or two extras a year.
I guess I meant outside of money. What do you think would be your physical or personal limit with? Because there are quite all intensity space. I feel like one a month. I mean, there is also the thing. I don't necessarily think there is enough cons that would justify one a month. But if there were, I do think I would eventually start loosely crashing out on that.
Yeah, I think I'd like to have one every 3 months, so it could be oh, it's coming up again, it's a half-term holiday or some rubbish. But no, I mean, yeah, I could see pushing myself to even every other month,
every other month. To be fair, that's 6 cons in a year, which is a perfectly reasonable amount.
Yeah.
I feel if I was just let's imagine money is not a factor, and also quality of cons is not entirely. UKG I'm locked in for. I'm going to be doing Norwich again. Of things I've done last year that I don't know about whether I'm doing again, more just because of timing. There's some of them. I won't do Tabletop Scotland again because it's just not necessarily the right place for me. I did apply to a convention that I won't mention in case they get back to me and be like, nah. But I applied to a convention in Essex, and I'm like, oh god.
Oh, hometown girly.
Yeah, I'm I have no idea how I'd be perceived in my hometown. This is also another thing. Did we talk on air last week about how I am gonna sort of try and return to stand-up?
I think we touched on it, yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was an on or off-air conversation, but I was looking around a list of wheelchair accessible gigs, and one on the list was just flat out in Stamford La Hope, and I was like, maybe not.
It's a bit far.
It's not the farthest.
Stamford La Hope is where you're from. Yeah, sorry, I was I know the name, but
you were thinking of Stratford-upon-Avon, weren't you?
I don't know, dude. It's all southern.
Yeah, no. I directly in my hometown in Essex, where I was maybe that's not. I was maybe I book it and then I dust off all of my old Stanford La Hope bashing material, which I had 10 minutes on at least.
Oh well, there you go.
But yeah, part of me's I feel I'd be unpopular where I came from because of my resentment of it. Whereas broader Essex, I'm maybe at a con in Essex I'd do really well. Maybe I reprint Swamp Creature and be it's kind of about here. Do you want to share the fun thing you told me about your aircon plans?
Yeah, so on Mother's Day, which is this Saturday in England, if you're listening from abroad, it's probably different. But on Mother's Day, my mum and dad are going to come to the convention and be there. And it's the first time they're going to be at a games convention, and it feels weird, but...
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I do just need to check with you. Are your parents coming on the Saturday, or are your parents coming on Mother's Day?
Oh, the Saturday.
Because Mother's Day is the Sunday.
Oh, well, I don't know, dude. Whatever. I
genuinely, I didn't know if you'd been told we're coming on Mother's Day. You had heard and thought Mother's Day was a Saturday and we're going to be surprised. So that's why I thought I'd say, no.
No,
But yeah, my family's never been to a convention. Admittedly, because like the only like the nearest one is London.
yeah,
Actually, if I do the Call to Adventure again, which I might, depending
yeah.
on space or stuff. Maybe I could, because that's sort of family friendly. But yeah,
It's very funny because like they've been to other conventions before, like they are exceedingly middle class and have been to like Good Food Convention or whatever else, like Country Living magazine convention or whatever the hell. And I was like, oh, you'll have to get tickets. You should pre-order tickets because they're selling out. And they're like, oh, we have to buy tickets to come in. It's like, yes, it's a convention. What did you think it was? And it's like they're just in their own little world about this. It's like, oh, it's just a little market where Chloe goes and sells her funny little games.
yeah. Do you feel like how much do you feel your parents do or don't understand what you do?
I mean, when I was a kid, I would always make like mazes and like play like video games on bits of paper and stuff. Like as a kid kind of does, I imagine. But like, oh yeah, it's just Chloe makes up little adventures like she used to do when she was a kid and whatever. It's like Dungeons and Dragons, whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that sounds like it'll be a fun, sort of interesting experience.
Yeah, at the very least, I can maybe swindle some coffees and maybe even a booster pack or something out of them. So
Oh, did I ever tell you about when I was in Dublin? The aircon which we did in Dublin last year, which is one I plausibly might do again last year. That was really nice. Ireland loved me.
oh,
I felt like I did really success at it. I was like, I'm beloved abroad.
sorry,
Only my own home
aircon
country.
and aircon. Maybe
Oh wait, no, GaleCon.
Gaelcon.
I keep randomly calling it aircon in my head, but spelling it EIR.
Yeah,
Then I'm
exactly.
like,
I
no,
thought it
it's
was like the
GaleCon.
Irish spelling of Ireland. No, it's Gaelcon.
Yeah, GaleCon. GaleCon last year was in like a hotel which actually had like some decent coffee around. I don't feel like I have a solid locked ranking in my opinion of all of the conventions and their quality of coffee, other than like for years I ranked the Novatellas quite bad.
Yeah, we need to get you to do a tier list on Blue Sky.
I don't know if I have a solid opinion on like where UKG would go compared to. No, I mean obviously sometimes a venue changes, and it's like, oh well, I can no longer compare Norwich Gamescom year on year. But yeah, GaleCon was quite nice, and I think when Laurie had went to get me like the third coffee of the day, it was like, yeah, I ended up talking about you to the barista because he was just very friendly. I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting this coffee for my girlfriend. It's like her fourth coffee of the day. They was like, yeah, no, I was able to explain who you were, and I was like, oh, how did you describe it? It was like, just said the blonde chick in the wheelchair.
Pretty
I was
distinctive.
like, yeah, pretty distinctive actually.
I don't know if you're visible in a crowd, but uh,
Well, I'm not visible above a crowd, but
yeah,
within it, the seas kind of part around me.
that's
Like
true.
when we were
She generates a mosh
leaving,
pit.
yeah. So when we went to see a play that we were leaving out, like immediately we got to the hallway and like three people jumped out to clear a way for me who were like starved, and I was just like, oh, it's like you're the president, except without all the crimes against humanity.
Laurie's your secret service.
Yeah, Laurie
I
could
can
be
see
my
that for him.
bouncer. You before, so we were talking a bit about about your parents coming to see you at aircon, because I was asking about your plans for the week before we started, and then you, as a joke, said, "Oh, why don't we do games you can play with your mother?"
Yeah.
Do you have any further thoughts? I think that's maybe something semi interesting.
I mean, games you can play with your mother does sound like the title to a collection of lyric games where okay, I'm gonna jam a lyric game out live on stage.
Go for it. Go for it.
It's Slam Lyric Gaming. Play this game when you are in a car with your mother. Whenever she says anything negative about your driving, roll a dice, regardless of the result. Slightly panic a bit. When you panic 5 times, you can choose to stop the car and tell her to get out and ruin your relationship, or just put up with her being sort of frustrating and anxious and anxiety generating. And I call this game Taxi Service.
I love a game where you've instructed a player to look away and roll a dice while behind the wheel of an automobile.
I mean, to be fair, you don't. It doesn't matter what the result of the dice is, so you can just roll it in like
Roll
the
it without seeing.
in
Yeah,
the
no.
cup holder.
I like that. I like a lyric game where it's like, this is completely playable, but maybe not legally.
Maybe don't do it, but like,
um, I can see, yeah, scope for lyric game collections where either if you're one person writing it, like if it's you, I assume this would be a series of lyric games about different aspects of your relationship with your mum, and there'd maybe be some of it that's intended to be like relatable, but also a lot of it would be quite nichely specific.
yeah,
Um, I think the hard thing here is like people have an idea of like a mum as an archetype, but like ultimately, mothers tend to actually be unique individuals.
yeah. It's like people are their own thing and aren't monoliths. It's crazy.
Yeah, I feel, I guess if you were narrowing down like what is the sort of like stuff that you can actually presume, it's like, I guess if you are playing a game for your mum, and we can presume this is aimed the TTRPG reading, playing, or whatever customer audience member who has a mother or other parent even who knows of this interest but isn't into it as well.
Yeah,
And then I guess it's a dynamic of like, okay, this is a game where you are running it for one person who also is like a generation or two older than you. Can't actually remember what the average of parents is. They're usually like 2 generations older, I think. Like there is something interesting about that, but I guess part of me is like, I'm unsure if this is interesting actually from a design perspective, or if I'd just like to hear. I actually feel what I'd be really interested in hearing is a podcast series where it's just almost like either an actual play of people playing two-player games with their parents, or even like, you know, a blog post series of play reports about people doing that with often different contributors.
yeah,
Because I'm just like, yeah, there is a game that could be written here, but would it be more interesting than just saying, recommending someone play Pickcrawler with their mum and then tell me about it?
yeah. It's
Play
like,
Blood Rush with your mum and tell me about it. I'm like, that feels actually more interesting than whatever we're designing.
yeah. I think the blog post is probably better than the podcast because then they'd feel like they're acting or whatever. But
Yeah, I initially wondered if the podcast as like a post game interview one, which that I do in itself think is an interesting format because that's no longer an actual play podcast.
it's a
It
play
is like
report. Yeah,
it's a talk back podcast for a game that is not actual play because it is not seen, which I think is something kind of amusingly obtuse about that. But we've pitched a podcast. I think we have pitched games, just like not games in the sense of products to sell, more like we've pitched a specific play experience.
yeah,
I had last or the other week, I think a pitch I sent you other than the time loop thing that then we didn't go with because we did the whole episode on the time loop. Oh no, not the time loop. It was an idea I had the same week as the Macbeth episode.
yeah.
So
What's that? Do you
the
remember?
pitch I said was a game about creators making conflicting artistic accounts of their messy friend group breakup.
So it's Rashomon, the game.
Yeah. There's an element of Rashomon, but like obviously in Rashomon, they're all making their case to a specific person who is trying to figure out the truth, or to someone who is a judge and authority figure. Whereas more what I'm interested about here is more the fact that you are telling these differing interpretations of what happened to an audience in a way that is, you know, very public, and then how does that continue to affect your further relationship. So I read a book a few weeks ago called Bellies by Nicola Dinan. I think we talked about this on a podcast before, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, partway through Bellies, like one of the characters makes a like fringe theater play that is massively about like the breakup between her and another character to the extent of like quite almost verbatimly quoting conversations they had. And it causes a massive issue in the friend group, even though like she asks him and he's like, yeah, fine. It's sort of like, well, you know him enough to say just agree to that. Um I don't know, I think that's kind of interesting. Have you seen Lost in Translation or Her?
Neither of them, no.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting double bill because it's kind of known that like Lost in Translation is in many ways informed by Sofia Coppola's experience of like uh failed marriage with Spike Jonze, and then Her, directed by Spike Jonze, is in some ways about his relationship with Sofia Coppola. Often when like you might see some years at the fringe where it's like these two comedians who dated each other and had a breakup both have shows about the breakup going on.
Okay, so is the game about telling conflicting stories about the same event? Or
Or I just think maybe even the same relationship. The reason I maybe pitched it as a friend group thing, because I don't necessarily think it always has to be the same event. I think the fun thing there is you can just completely like de-emphasize stuff. Like there may be like the set things are like, we met at this time, this argument eventually massively happened, and that's why no one speaks to each other. But in each version where someone is making up something new, they get to be like, oh yeah, in my film, um, I'm I am inventing this because it's also the thing you can just lie.
yeah,
Like I'm inventing like a sort of like a fair brief cheating storyline, and that's actually why I resent it. Is then versus the other person being like, "Hey, why did you cut all of my dialogue out?" or stuff like that.
yeah. I like it as a pitch. I'm just trying to work out what's the mechanics. What's the
Yeah, I wonder if mechanically wise the way it'd be working is you'd narrow down more. I feel actually probably this sort of maybe it'd even be a bit like Firebrandsy or like scene based game where I think if you like locked in each retelling to a specific medium, if you're like, okay, cool, here's this play, here's like the role that is being done for to decide how successful that goes. Because I think there's also an aspect of being like someone going like, oh yeah, um, she did a one woman show about this friend breakup, and it was quite critically acclaimed, but like she is still broke. Versus the guy did this like much more hacky film, but like because of that role, he's actually now like really rich and successful. I think there's like that's what the rolling part is, and then maybe that's intercepted with like scenes in the sort of like release party or launch party or press night for each of these things.
yeah? And we have like confrontations between the actual people and like the actors and whatever.
And that's probably going to inform whatever like the next person does in their scene. I think you kind of have to write it as a mini gamey
Yeah, I can
scene
see
based
that.
thing, and then it's in deciding that initial sort of like engagement role, you end up deciding what um what are like the individual differences in your tellings. Or yeah, maybe it's like a game where like the cast is pre-written and like there's a loose description with a bunch of shit like just blacked out. And it's like, okay, you can take these characters, but you've now got to invent the gaps because you don't know what the underlying real truth gets to be.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's sort of like a half. It's a full capsule game, but you don't get to see half the capsule.
Yeah. It's almost got this thing of like you're being presented with like half remembered stuff and you're remembering the other half of it
Yeah,
as a table.
and that's part of like, oh, the creators don't quite remember the exact words of the argument, but they know the spirit of it, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That is sort of I feel very workable. I'm trying to think of either of us come up with any other random ideas in the week. I
I
mean, the
went
only thing I could
I went
pitch is going.
mildly viral on Tumblr about Starfleet Academy. So,
Ooh, tell us about your mild virality.
oh, I mean, I just sort of, you know how modern TV shows are like 10 episodes at a push.
Yeah.
I was like, what are the episodes that we would have got if this series of television was like 24 episodes long? And it's like, yeah, I just want to see these characters fuck about in a holodeck or investigate a ghost story or some other silly throwaway episode that ends up being like really popular, like really like well loved like 10 years later.
Yeah. I get sort of why TV is or certain kinds of TV have gone that way. Obviously certain sitcoms and soaps still go like way longer, but my only other idea I could have is I was talking to a friend on Monday about do you near you are like little robot cleaners taking over?
I've what?
Yeah, like I like little robot creatures who clean things taking over your shops and train
This sounds
stations.
like a London problem. I'm sorry.
Are you saying the robots haven't been consuming? I so you don't even know the size of these robots. I should say is like there's one which is bigger than my power chair. There's one that is sort of like the size of I guess a suitcase,
And so what? They're
and they
little
just
like Roombas that go around polishing floors.
but much bigger because
Yeah.
like I said like size like a suitcase yeah sweeping and they're mainly in the shopping center and people fucking hate these things. I overtook one the other day and a guy like just like pointed out to me and was like they're taking everyone's jobs and I'm like ordinarily when a middle-aged white guy shouts that in public you get him like really like oh but you know he was pointing to the robots he had a point.
So for the future courts in 20 years' time, it is okay to cancel Kayla because of her robophobia.
Robophobia.
Yeah.
But I was saying to a friend how I often feel like I have to fight the urge to go full robot boss on them.
Just ram into it.
Yeah, it's so tempting. And another friend was also telling me, saying like that he agreed with this. And then when we were walking away, they started fucking tailgating me. I was like, they're fucking wearing a wire. So I'm like, maybe there's a game in like you get a. I know I said I wouldn't necessarily ever want to pitch wheelchair games, but I'm like, maybe there is a game in hacking. Maybe this is a maybe there's like a LARPish solo game in here where like it just sort of pictures a conspiracy about the robot cleaners. And maybe it's pseudo a lyric game because it's like it sure does sound like the text of the game is encouraging you to start ramming them. And I don't know if that's actually true. I think there's maybe a game in that. Just
Maybe. See, now I'm imagining like a Flash website video game where you play as somebody in a shopping center with dirty wheelchair wheels, and you have to like try and get past all the robots that are trying to clean you up. It's like a stealth game, I think.
yeah, that could also work. So I think we'll close our episode here. Are you planning to do attack podcasting at Aircon or
If I get a chance to get away from the table, yeah.
Well, maybe that means that next week we'll have some TAC podcasts or otherwise aircon reactions to
Shenanigans,
talk about.
yes.
And in the meantime, thanks everyone for listening to Game Soup.
We love you.
Kick us out of here, Chloe.